Hi everyone, it's Lisette and welcome to Proverbs Home. First, I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers who have joined my channel in the last week. Thank you for being here today. And today I'm going to be talking about the misconceptions of homemaking. There are so many of them out there, so go on ahead, retrieve yourself a nice cup of tea, some coffee, maybe a snack, and just lean back and relax. So many people are getting this whole topic so mixed up and so wrong. Does homemaking have to do with the way we dress? Does homemaking have to do with the utensils we have? Does homemaking have to do with having the best of the flour and the best of the potatoes, having an extensive garden, growing your own food, growing your own animals, all those things are great. You can have all those things and be a homemaker. But because you have all those things doesn't make you a homemaker. Being a homemaker is learning to use the things you have at home, to use those essentials and resources to take care of your home, to take care of your family. I was watching a video the other day. It was a homemaking video. I'm not going to mention the name of the homemaking video. And there's a wonderful channel that I love. And I saw some people get on there and start complaining about what the person was saying. And I thought to myself, well, they're getting it wrong. Yes, the person in the video is wearing an apron and they're cooking on the stove and they're dressed more with dresses. But I love wearing dresses and I do wear them quite often. But sometimes women get that wrong and they think, well, I don't want to be a homemaker because I don't always wear dresses. I don't always cook out on the fire. I don't have chickens. I don't have animals, so I'm not a homemaker. And they even think that we're homesteading, even though homesteading goes a lot deeper. And I want to be a homesteader one day. And I'm praying and having faith that one day I will be a homesteader. And another mistaken thing about being a homemaker is that you have to live in an in a house, that you have to have a few acres and live in a house to be a homemaker. Do you know you can be a homesteader? Do you know you can be a homemaker right in the apartment where you're living? You don't need to have a house to be a homemaker. Right where you live, you can be a homemaker and be the best homemaker you can be. One thing I have noticed also, the Instant Pot, the rice Instant Pot, the crock pots are so famous right now, the air fryers, all those things. And I think they're great. I think air fryers are great to have. I think the Instant Pots are great. I have 2 crock pots that I love to use. Sometimes in a rush, I want to make a quick meal, have it in the crock pot simmering all day. And when I get home, it's already done. So I love doing that. But have we ever stopped to just use regular pots and pans? To make that fried chicken on the stove? To make those baked, foods in your oven? One thing I would love to have is a propane stove. I love cooking on the fire. I think the food tastes so good. But we have a gas stove and it works fine too. But I like propane stoves. I think those are really great to have. I think also they can be a little better than gas stoves because I think the food takes a little longer to cook and it just tastes better when it does cook. But I try to make sure, having our gas stove, that I cook some really good meals and I flavor them really well and I take my time cooking them. So sometimes we should shut off all that technology and shut off those crock pots and shut off those Instant Pots. I'm not saying you have to get rid of them, and start cooking on the stove. Learn to do things a little bit more frugally. Not buy so much box food and TV dinners. Learn to cook frugally, to make simple meals for our family. Yes, we see lots of videos where people just cook and they just make all this fancy food and everything looks so perfect and the dish comes out so perfect. But what about making a simple hamburger helper? Just some pasta with some meat, some cheese, and that's it. Easy peasy. What about making bread from scratch, using your hands without a bread machine? I have a bread machine. And I bought this bread machine and I have that book that goes with it. But guess what? I never use it. which I want to start getting into using it because with this bread machine, you can also make preservatives. So I want to start doing that. But what happens to learning as homemakers to do these things by hand? Another thing that's a misconception about being a homemaker is that you have to know how to sew on a sewing machine, that you have to know how to use a sewing machine. Now, I come from a line of women that do know how to sew and use a sewing machine. My mother is one of those women that can use a sewing machine. She has a very old singer from years ago that was her mom's. She has it. She still has it. And I think that's amazing. And I have a sewing machine. I have a small sewing machine. I think mine is called Brothers, something like that. I got it at Walmart. I don't use it all the time. But I think it's important for us women to learn to sew by hand. To sew different things. Sew socks instead of throwing the socks away because they have a little hole. Learn to sew up, maybe put patches on different things and fix them. Maybe on your quilts, do that patchwork. Do different things. I think those things are very important. I think those things are great and they add to resources as us being homemakers. But I think what happens a lot of times that women think, being a homemaker is just dressing a certain way, looking a certain way, wearing a dress every day in your house with an apron, being at the sink all the time. That's all we do as homemakers. But I think homemaking is so much more than that. I think that's a huge misconception, that all you can do is wear a dress to be a homemaker. Well, today, let me show you. I have on sweatpants and I have on my thermal because it is very cold out. It's 39, 40 degrees already. It's very, very cold. But I have these things on to keep me warm. And this makes me comfortable when I'm homemaking and I'm cooking. I feel comfortable. And that's what it is, being comfortable in your home, that if somebody comes to the door, you may have your pretty earrings on and have your jeans or your t-shirt, but you still feel comfortable and you're enjoying being a homemaker. It's a great misconception when people think homemaking is about dressing like you're in the 50s. That is not what homemaking is about. Homemaking is about using those resources that you have, bringing them into the home, whether they're from the 1920s, whether they're from the early 1800s or late 1800s, more like late 1800s. And you can take those resources from your grandparents and your great-grandparents, those old recipes, and bring those to the table. That is part of being a homemaker. And if you don't have any of those old, recipes and things like that, you can still bring resources to your home, bring them to this table, and still be a great homemaker. It is about taking care of your family, making sure their linens are clean, making sure their clothes are clean, making sure your home is comfortable. You have that special tea kettle. I think everybody should have a tea kettle. I think it's important for every home to have a tea kettle on top of the stove. Do you know that tea kettles also warm up your home? And they're good for your home and they're good for the air? Yeah, they are. So even using tea kettles can be good for breathing. If you're sick, if you have a cold, having a nice tea kettle. I especially love the old-fashioned tea kettles. I think they're amazing. Having those on your stove and using those, having those old-fashioned pots and pans or whatever pots and pans you have, sometimes turning off all those modern conveniences and using those things, cooking on the stove. Now, I love my crock pot. I love my, I don't have an air fryer. I thought about getting one, but I enjoy frying chicken on the stove. I really do enjoy it the old-fashioned way. I enjoy using my oven when I bake things. I really, really enjoy it. And if you don't have anything that's old-fashioned, that doesn't make you a homemaker either. They're great to have. I would suggest if you go out thrifting or something to find things you can use that are kind of old-fashioned, to learn to use it and do it the old-fashioned way in case your electricity goes out, in case you can't afford propane for your stove, to learn to cook the old-fashioned way on an open fire if you can do that. If you live in an apartment and those are things that are not feasible, then find out different ways that you can be a homemaker right there in your apartment and bring nature into your apartment and make it feel cozy and warm. What if your washing machine breaks down? We have to learn how to wash clothes by hands. That's something I can say I can do with no problem. We don't all need dishwashers. I do not care for dishwashers. I mean, they're great for those who have them. I just think they're more work. I'd rather stand at the sink and wash my dishes and scrub my pans myself. That's just my preference. Not everybody's like that. There are people that like dishwashers. That's okay too. They like dishwashers. They can be a homemaker with those dishwashers. You know, having those special quilts, going to the thrift shop and getting that one piece of furniture that you can refurbish and make it beautiful for your home. I love when I find a piece of furniture for my home that is going to be special and something I want to keep long term. What about that extra closet that you have in your home? Everybody thinks if I want to have a pantry, it's got to be big, brand new, all the shelves, everything labeled perfectly, nothing out of line, so I can't be a homemaker, I can't have a pantry. Well, what about that extra closet you have that it's overloaded with stuff that you don't need, that you want to declutter? What about decluttering that closet and turning a small space into a pantry? Yes, it's important to label some of your jars because you need to have them labeled. But it doesn't have to be perfect. There are free labels you can find right on the internet for free. And you can put tape on them and tape them onto your jars and make them look beautiful. And use those closets, that extra space, that extra shelf for a pantry. There's so many great things and so many misconceptions about being a homemaker. Another thing is that you always have to have meat for every meal. You always got to have chicken or steak or beef or pork, or if you don't have that, you're not feeding your family. You know you can feed your family some pasta sprinkled with some cheese, and that will make a delicious meal with maybe a bread and some butter. A special warm drink at night before bedtime, and it is delicious. I think we get it wrong when it comes to being a homemaker. I think we get it wrong when it comes to being a homemaker. A homemaker, homemaking, it is a gift from God. It is what's in your heart, your passion, to make those special meals for your family. That when they come to the table, you have that old-fashioned cloth on your table, maybe you've had for years. Maybe it's a vintage tablecloth or something you've had for years. And if you don't have a tablecloth, maybe there's some pretty blanket you have that has a really pretty print on it that you can use on your table for a tablecloth. There's so many things to being a homemaker. It is being frugal, being wise, having discernment, being there in your home, enjoying your home, loving your husband, loving your children, taking care of your home, making it look what makes you feel comfortable and your husband comfortable. There's just so many great things to being a homemaker. It's not just slapping on an apron with a wooden spoon. No, that's not what being a homemaker is. A homemaker is using the resources you have to minister to your home and to take care of your home. And if you're a homemaker, homeschooler, you're a mom with children and you work very hard, enjoy what you do. If you don't have the money to order from these big stores that have like the shelf life, foods that come in big buckets and you can't afford that, it's not everybody can afford to shop like that. They're great. It's great if you save your money, you're able to buy a couple of things that are long term that you can put on your shelf, but not everybody can afford that. Then go to the Dollar Tree. Get those certain like oats and beans and potatoes and bread and things that you can freeze for your family to feed your family. Look at those discounts. Don't be afraid to cut out coupons and get the discounts. Maybe you're on governmental help. Maybe you're getting food stamps. Well, guess what? You can still be a homemaker if you're receiving food stamps that is helping your home. Use those food stamps wisely and get those prepping items you need for your pantry and set up your pantry. Take this time while the government is helping you to get through whatever you're going through. Look, everybody that's on governmental help does not mean they're lazy and don't work and don't have a job. Now, there's some people like that. Sure, of course. There are young people that are doing that I'm like, okay, you can work and they just don't want to work. But a lot of people have lost their jobs or maybe going through something financially, and that has been the alternative to help them and feed their family. Don't be ashamed of that. That food stamps that you're getting, build your pantry with that. Take those food stamps, Get the oatmeal and the things you need for your children to feed your kids. And you will be surprised how you can build your pantry even using food stamps. Couponing, it's a great way. You know, we're not on food stamps. We don't get governmental help. But I try to take every single penny I have. I don't care if it's a little penny in my purse that was left over. If you got pennies in your pocket, you got a nickel and dime, don't say, oh, it's just a nickel, throw it in the garbage. It's just a penny, throw it in the garbage. Take those things that you have. Get a jar and start filling it up with pennies, nickels, and dimes. You'll be surprised the money you'll have to get $2 or $3 out of there and get a big bag of rice to feed your family. I am not trying to sound like pathetic here. This is real life. Folks, this country is going through some things. Other countries, we're in a very insecure time in the United States and all over the world. I'll just leave it at that. And we need to be prepared and prepped and have the things we need to take care of our families. If you get to go to a thrift store and you find blankets that are in good condition and quilts and warm comforters, get them. They cost you $2. Take them home. Make sure they're not overly stained with, not good stuff. But if they just got one little stain, you can take them home and wash them and use those to cover your beds. Never be ashamed of the things you have to take care of your family. It's not about having expensive things, going out every week and buying expensive things. It's about using what you have at home, having discernment, trusting in God, using it wisely. I remember my mom, and Mom, if you're watching, hi, and I love you. But I remember my mom, her taking care of us. I remember going to school and coming back home, and she would have my bedroom rearranged and have it so nice. Mom, do you remember that? And she would just put my bears out and our toys and make it look so nice. And those were the most special times growing up, was my mom doing that, painting our bedrooms, taking care of the home, using what she had, okay? Using what she had. My dad worked very hard, but my mom, she was a homemaker. That's what my mom did. She raised 5 of us, took care of us, took care of the home, make sure our sheets were clean and our home was taken care of. We had food on the table. Yeah, we weren't millionaires and we weren't rich, but my mom took care of us with what she knew and with what she had. She made cake from scratch. She made cakes for us for our birthdays. She did so many special things for us. That's what made her the mom she is. So just think about it. Don't listen to the misconceptions. Thank God for what you have. Thank God for what your mom has taught you, because it made you grow up to be that special person you are. And I thank God for everything she taught me, because you know what? It taught me to be a hard worker, to do my best, not to give up, not to be lazy, and do my best in life. So remember, being a homemaker is far more than the utensils. Being a homemaker is rooted in God, rooted in love, rooted in ministering to your family. So I hope you enjoyed this video. God bless you. Take care. Have a great night. And we'll talk again soon. God bless.